One of the hardest parts of being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis is not necessarily just the symptoms, but it's also the fact that the cause of multiple sclerosis is unknown and there is no cure. So there really is no hope that this can be completely resolved, and that leads to a lot of stress and loss of hope for a lot of people. So today, what I'd like to do is take you on a journey. We're going to start this journey by looking at what is accepted in science or in standard of care with respect to what causes multiple sclerosis. And then we're going to look at a lot of other amazing research. So I'm going to start with what is accepted, what we know, what the doctors believe, and then we're going to look at new research. We're also going to look at a different known cause for multiple sclerosis. But I have to take you on this journey because it's literally changing the belief system that we have been subjected to for many, many decades. If we haven't met, my name is Pam Bartha. I'm the author of Become a Wellness Champion and the founder of Live Disease Free. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis over 37 years ago now. And when I was diagnosed, nothing really has changed. The doctors back then said there is no known cause for multiple sclerosis, there is no cure, and they told me that I would be completely disabled in time. Well, I have been doing a lot of research over just about 40 years now, and we've served hundreds and hundreds of people, I would say thousands all over the world, helping them to recover from MS and other chronic diseases. So we're going to start with what is agreed upon in standard of care, in science, and what we have experienced. And then we are going to go deeper into these topics and really help you to see that there is hope for you, that there is a reason that your body is acting like this, that you're going through these symptoms, and there really is solution. There's opportunities for recovery. This is going to be a several-week live events that I'll be talking about these topics. The first one, it will be talking about what is accepted with respect to multiple sclerosis. The next one will be looking at autoimmune versus something else. So like, is MS truly an autoimmune disease? What is the research behind it? Or is something else causing these horrible symptoms in our body? And then that's also going to be like why the MS model doesn't fit fully. And also the autoimmune theory, why that doesn't fit. Then we're going to look at MS and fungus, because that is something that many of you may have heard about, the Candida link to MS. That has been, like, doctors wrote about it about 40 years ago. And then we're going to talk about MS and Lyme disease, because that is something that even the MS Society on their website had a lot of information about how similar MS and Lyme disease are. Then we're going to look at MS and protozoa, where there's over 100 years of research linking MS to a type of protozoa. And also there's many, many years, at least, like I think 1911 was the first study linking MS to Borrelia type Lyme infection. Then we're going to move on to MS and filarial worms. And then we're going to move to MS and large worms. So this would be roundworms and flukes. Some of you may never have heard of flukes before. So I'm going to take you on this journey of starting with what is more accepted in science and how we know our body to be when we're dealing with MS. And then we're going to start stepping into unknown territories deeper and deeper. And it's going to be very exciting for you. We're going to just do it a little chunk at a time, because it's going to give you hope. And it is real hope, because many students that I've worked with over the last 10 years, this is something we've been doing for 10 years now. So sure, I have been MS free for over 35 years, like 37 years at least, but there are other students that have worked with us close to 10 years ago or 10 years ago, and they are still MS free also. So that's really exciting. So what we can say with respect to science or the standard of care medical community is that MS is an inflammatory disease. Inflammation is in the body for sure. And MS involves immune cell activation. So our immune system is activated for some reason. They say they don't know why, but so it is true that they will agree, yes, your immune system is activated. And they will also, honestly, they'll be able to say that the MS drugs, that all of them suppress our immune system, and that does not cure MS. They're hoping to slow down the progression. They're hoping to decrease like the flares, but the reality of the fact is that every single MS drug does not treat the cause, does not cure us of this MS disease that we're dealing with, this mysterious disease we're dealing with. There is another piece that you may not be really aware of, and that for decades, there's been a lot of research that MS is a vascular disorder. So this is established in the science. It's just not talked about a lot. Actually, the most recent McDonald criteria, they actually cited something that I'll share with you in a little while. So this is something that it is not question, it is not theory. There's a lot of vascular differences in people that have MS versus healthy people. So the key here is that we do agree that inflammation and immune activity is part of MS. Yes, we agree with that at Live Disease Free. But where we disagree is that we do not believe, and what I'm going to share with you, it does not add up that this is just the immune system attacking our nerve tissue for no reason, that the cause is unknown. That's where we disagree. But yes, it is an inflammatory disease. And yes, the immune system is working hard, it's activated, but we feel there is a cause. We feel that the immune system, and the research shows, and a lot of us have recovered. So that's where we're going along this journey. So let's talk about what MS patients already know. You guys tell me, like in the comments section, if you relate to what I'm sharing, or if there's other things that are really things that you know about MS, like how it affects your body, things that make it worse. I talked about triggers, and so I'll talk about those here too. But basically, the gut health is really impaired in multiple sclerosis. That is well documented in science, and we know that if we have MS. For years before I was diagnosed with MS, I had significant constipation. If I ate the wrong foods, I'd be laying on the ground as a child with stomach aches. So I had all of this, and I just thought it was normal. I just thought I was different. So I had all of this for years before I was diagnosed with MS, and that is the case for a lot of people. They say that this is research that says that people with MS, at least 5 years before their diagnosis, they have significant gut issues. Things like irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, diarrhea. Sometimes we have incontinence eventually, bloating, food sensitivities, inflammatory bowel disease. So scientifically, it's been shown that people that have MS, they have a much higher risk of having various types of inflammatory bowel diseases. I've talked about this. These are all articles that I've written on our blog post, livediseasefree.com. So I'm going to be creating a blog post for this topic. I will hyperlink a lot of my past articles so you can go deeper into different topics. And so altered gut microbiome is consistently documented in multiple sclerosis studies, right? So the key here is that MS it's not just neurological symptoms, it's not just happening in our central nervous system, but also our gut health. And remember, I've shared also that there is this highway of nerves between your gut and your brain. It is the brain-gut axis. And so whatever is inflaming nerves in your gut is definitely going to be causing central nerve symptoms. So that is a really important thing to share right now. If you have MS, you know that diet impacts how you feel. Absolutely. What's the worst culprit? Tell me if you know what the worst culprit is with diet. Go ahead and type it in the Q&A there, in the comment section. I'll give you one more second. It is sugar, right? Sugar is truly something that makes us feel worse. It makes our symptoms worse. It makes us more tired. It makes us more depressed. It can make our MS symptoms worse, and it increases inflammation. So refined carbohydrates and sugar, they increase inflammation, which increases our symptoms. Also, other processed foods, fatigue can be worse. Symptom improvement comes from eating low carb. So we have the Live Disease-Free diet. If you don't know anything about it yet, make sure to check it out. You can find it on our website, livediseasefree.com, under research in the main menu. And then there you can find out exactly the guidelines, and you can have significant symptom improvements in as little as 1 to 2 weeks if you get your carbs low enough. So again, Live Disease-Free diet. It's on our website, livediseasefree.com. Under research, there's a little cheat sheet you can put in your kitchen. There's videos. I tell you what I eat for breakfast, lunch, and supper, all kinds of ideas, and you'll know exactly what to avoid. If it's just our immune system that's gone haywire and it's attacking our nerve tissue for no reason, then why would diet make such a big difference? Interesting. Low carb, anti-inflammatory diets, and even elimination diets, because a lot of times we have food sensitivities. All of these things can really help. So the key here is that for MS, if it's purely genetic or if it's random, like it's just autoimmune, your immune system is just attacking your nerves, your body for no reason, then diet would not matter. That's the key. But it does matter a lot. We have had students that they decrease their carbs significantly. Sometimes their spasticity goes away completely. Sometimes they find that their bladder, first of all, that is really big. Their bladder improves tremendously within less than 2 weeks. Then they are starting to sleep better at night. They're not getting up 5 or 6 times at night, maybe once versus 5 or 6 times. Then they're sleeping better. Then their cognitive function starts to improve. They have more strength. Diet is the first step. It is the foundation to recovery. It is the start. And that's why it is so incredibly important. And this gives us a clue as to what could be causing MS. Stress makes MS worse. If we're dealing with, I call it the gut-wrenching emotional stress, maybe we've had a death in the family. Maybe we've had a relationship breaking up. Maybe it's financial. It can be so many different things that give us this really bad stress. Number one, when we have MS, we don't handle stress as well. It really bothers us. And then when we have it, our symptoms are a lot worse. So this is accepted. They know that stress makes MS symptoms worse. So the stress can increase our relapses, can increase our immune activation, and also the progression of multiple sclerosis. So the key here is that stress does not cause MS, but it clearly activates whatever is driving MS. It makes it worse. Lack of sleep. If we are sleep deprived, our immune system is weaker, and we notice that our symptoms are worse. Illness. Maybe we get the flu in the winter. Maybe we have other infections, those horrible UTIs, and we're on antibiotics. Let me know if you guys can relate to any of this stuff. So you know that when you're getting these UTIs, some of your symptoms will be worse. When you're on ongoing antibiotics for the UTIs or for other issues, that can make symptoms worse. What we think are hormonal shift, you notice that our symptoms are worse. And also the blood sugar swings. Like if we binge on a lot of sugar and our blood sugar goes up and then it goes down, like we can have low blood sugar symptoms. We can have just worse MS symptoms with eating a lot of sugar, especially if we do it ongoing. So all of these different triggers, they do not create multiple sclerosis, but they amplify something that is already there. Now let's talk about this new research about it's not new. I should say it hasn't received a lot of attention. So this has to do with vascular dysfunction. Have you ever heard that MS is a vascular disorder, other than from me if you've been following me? But has your doctor ever told you about this? Have you read this on the MS Society website? Anybody told you about this? Let me know, because I never heard about this before until I came across it. By the grace of God, everything I do is by the grace of God. The reason I'm alive, the research we share, he's very faithful in answering prayers. So So everyone can agree that number one, MS is an inflammatory condition. There's a lot of neuroinflammation that goes on. So basically the immune systems are activated in the brain and the spinal cord, but also in the gut, right? We talked about that gut-brain axis. The primary job of our immune system is to protect us from infections. That is its main job, from invaders, right? Or it could be toxins too, but for the vast majority of us, we live in developed countries and we don't have a lot of toxins. Yeah, we do have some toxins, but if we had that many toxins, everyone would have MS. So it's more, the primary job is defending us from infections, from invaders. And inflammation is the war. Inflammation is when our immune system is fighting something. So this is all scientifically validated, right? It's not me making it up. So immune system's main job, main purpose in life is to protect us from invaders, from infections. And inflammation is when it's fighting really hard. So why don't they know what's inflammation in MS? Well, we'll leave that hanging for now. When we have MS, we have a lot of this neuroinflammation. We have actually more than just neuroinflammation, but they focus on the neuroinflammation. We have a lot of inflammation in our gut. We have a lot of inflammation in different parts of our body. We might have edema. We might have all kinds of different things. But it's known that, yes, we have lesions in the central nervous system. This whole vascular dysfunction, it really aligns with mainstream neurology. So MS is described as a chronic inflammatory disease of the central nervous system, and these new inflammatory lesions are used to track the disease through MRI scans. Sometimes they will do lumbar punctures looking for antibody bands, but again, their antibodies are part of the immune system fighting something, fighting an invader, an unknown invader. There's a difference between saying that inflammation is present and inflammation is the cause, right? When we're saying inflammation is the cause of MS, we're saying, well, the immune system is attacking our tissue. That's what's causing MS. Or is it just that inflammation is present? That means that the immune system is fighting something. Maybe it is intelligently fighting something like it should be. So then we would just say, well, inflammation is present. And actually, inflammation is present in every type of chronic disease. And people that have MS, they don't usually just have MS. They have, the people that I work with, they have 3 to 5 diseases. So it's not just like when I was first diagnosed, we were just told like, oh, you have MS. That's what you're going to have. And that's what you're going to deal with for the rest of your life. But people that have MS and use these, especially the immunosuppressive drugs, they end up with different types of diseases like MS and diabetes, MS and cancer, with epilepsy, arthritis. So they travel together. I wonder if they have similar causes. So the key point here is that there's decades of research that now show that MS is also a vascular disease. So they have found, and I've actually done a blog post. So on my notes the blog that I'm going to create for you this weekend, you are going to see links to my MS is a vascular disorder blog post that I did a while ago, probably about a year ago. So then you can go deeper. You can look at the studies. I share all the references. Some people are like, how can you talk like this, Pam? Who do you think you are? You think you're a doctor or a researcher? I am a scientist. I'm a researcher. Absolutely. I have a science degree. I'm not a practitioner. I'm a coach and a researcher. And I provide references. You can check all this is not me making it up. I'm just sharing. This is available to anybody. This is available to your doctors. Why don't they look at this? Why don't they research this? I don't know. Ask them. So number one is it's well known that there are abnormalities in small vessels and small veins in MS lesions. And there's evidence of the lining of the blood vessels, that there's dysfunction in the lining of the blood vessels. And there's also, I've shared with leaky blood-brain barrier in multiple sclerosis. And also you may have heard about the CCSVI procedure because sometimes the veins become narrowed. And so there's altered blood flow through the veins. And we can have narrowing and they try to balloon it out, but that's not really a long-term solution. So this is well known. And also I've shared research that with MS, we have increased microbleeds and also the iron deposits around near the new lesions. And that's associated with worse disability. So active MS. So when MS is more active and we're having more disability, they're finding that these patients have greater microbleeds and also the iron deposit. I've also shared that the central vein sign, so within the center of lesions, there's a vein. You might wonder, like, why is there a blood vein in the center of a MS lesion in the central nervous system? We know that MS is a vascular disorder. We know that there's something that is really causing dysfunction of the lining of these little blood vessels in the brain. It's causing leaky blood-brain barrier. We're getting microbleeds. So these little blood vessels in our brain, they're kind of like rupturing. And then we have this spill into our brain of all the contents that's in our blood. So there could be red blood cells, there can be waste material, there can be food, there can be immune cells. And so the immune system in the brain is going to go, oh my gosh, we've got a bunch of foreign material in the brain that should not be here. So I wonder if the immune system is just going after that to clean it up, to deal with it, right? It's like an invader in the central nervous system. All of this happens before MS starts. This vascular dysfunction has happened well before the MS diagnosis. And it's so well established in the science. Why don't our practitioners know about this? Actually, in the 2024 McDonald criteria, they actually had to recognize this. So this is the criteria that our neurologists, our standard of care, our health authorities, they use this criteria, this published criteria, it's on a paper, and that's how they decide how we diagnose and how we treat MS. Maybe they have that for other diseases too. And in there, they actually talked about this center vein sign. It's huge because this happens well before. So what's also fascinating, remember I mentioned that ring of iron? So if you have a brain bleed and you have a bunch of red blood cells that spill into your brain and your immune system is digesting them, your body is digesting all that, the red blood cells carry a lot of iron, the hemoglobin, right? That helps to make up a lot of the hemoglobin. So then there would be a residual amount of iron that could be left behind. And I wonder if that is the ring of iron. Why else would there be a ring of iron when we have a micro brain bleed into our brain and we have a lot of red blood cells pouring in? Makes a lot of sense. Like everything that I share with you is like research-based and common sense, right? It's like finally something makes common sense. Huge. The center vein sign, radiologists now use what is called the center vein sign. And the fact that most MS lesions form around a small blood vessel, this is a biomarker to distinguish multiple sclerosis from other white matter diseases. This could really help us to get closer to what is causing MS. Newer studies show that the majority of new lesions in adults with MS have this center vein sign, meaning there's a little vein in the center of the lesion. This is really huge, and it's really sad that it is not talked a lot about with the MS Society, with our neurologists. Like, why are they not learning about this? So when you consistently see a blood vessel in the middle of almost every lesion, that really tells you something, that this is not random, right? These vessels are involved in where and how the MS lesions form. They're forming around the damaged blood vessels. We also see early signs of, they call it vascular aging. So our blood vessels are aging. So MS patients show signs of stiffer arteries and early vascular aging compared to people with of the same age that do not have MS. So also I shared before about homocysteine. So there's elevated homocysteine in many MS patients. Even when B12 and folate look normal, Homocysteine is toxic to our blood vessels, and it damages the lining of our blood vessels, increases oxidative stress, and it makes arteries stiffer. The particles that are shed from the damaged lining of the walls of the blood vessels, they are called endothelial microparticles, and they are elevated in vascular disease and correlate with arterial stiffness. So hopefully you understand what that means. It just means that, again, in MS, we're seeing that there's something wrong with the blood vessels. They are aging way more than anyone who doesn't have MS that's the same age as us. And they're dysfunctional, they are not healthy. And also we're seeing a lot of inflammatory markers in the blood. We're seeing brain bleeds, right? We're seeing that the lesions are forming around these blood vessels. Big smoking gun, like huge. All of this tells us that blood vessel stress and injury are present long before the brain and spinal cord show major damage. And so that sounds a lot like vascular dysfunction contributing to multiple sclerosis, not just reacting to it, right? It happens before we have the MS flares. What lesions might really represent is, again, like this compromise of the blood-brain barrier, blood spilling, like a leaky blood-brain barrier, things moving into the central nervous system, lesion forming around it. That's a pocket of inflammation. So think of the blood-brain barrier as a security fence. It keeps things out of the brain. It only lets very specific things go in and out of the brain. And when it's damaged or when it's leaky, that fence breaks down and the substances that don't belong in the brain, they cross over into the brain, and the immune system then rushes in to clean up the mess. That's its job. It's doing its job. Like, your body is not turning on you. Your immune system is not turning on you. Your immune system is doing the very best it can under the situation. Very often in a war, if a war gets out of hand, there can be a lot of damage, right? And that's what's happening. There's a lot of collateral damage because the immune system is not able to deal with what's going on. So the lesions that we see on the MRI may be the crime scene tape around the problem that has started at the blood vessel and the breakdown of the blood-brain barrier. A newer work on that is called broad rim lesions. I've shared all of this in so many studies. Like, I need to put this all in a book, and I will for sure. I just have a lot going on with helping all these wonderful wellness champions get well. So that's another huge thing. It shows a thick rim of myeloid cells and iron around these areas, and these lesions strongly predict faster disability. In summary, we know that MS is an inflammatory disease. We know that the immune system is involved, but there is strong evidence that it is not just a random immune system attacking your tissue, but the biggest evidence, I would say the most hopeful science and research that is accepted, I would say, in the scientific community has to do with MS being a vascular disorder. Like, I've been scouring the science for years and years, and I'm finding like some studies on things, but not a lot. So for example, we're going to talk about in future talks about MS and dysbiosis. And sure, that's happening at universities like the University of Calgary, but this about the vascular dysfunction in MS, this is huge. And I hope that by you foot soldiers, you take this research. Like, I will be creating like a one-page, I've got a lot of really great resources. If you hang out with our group, like make sure you're on my email list. You'll have access to all of these, but I'm going to create a one-pager that you can give to your practitioners, not just your neurologists. Give it to your chiropractors, give it to your naturopaths, give it to anybody who does healthcare. Because the more that they talk together, then I just actually had a lady I think last week was talking to me. She's like, I asked, how did you find me? And she's like, my naturopath in Canada referred me to you. I'm just like, oh, and that's in one of I have no idea who this naturopath is, but wonderful. So like, they're getting it, and then they can help other people. Maybe we can't get our standard of care practitioners to help us yet, but maybe some of our integrated practitioners will start feeding the truth out. And the more of us that get to know this truth, then we can start to bring change. So The MS lesions, they form, so in summary, the MS lesions form around blood vessels. That's really, really important. And remember, we talked about the ring of iron around the lesion, and we talked about all of this, like the stiffness of the blood vessels, the lining of the blood vessels is dysfunctional. Micro brain bleeds. Actually, I've done another, I didn't even include this here, but it just reminded me, but there's a lot more cardiovascular issues in MS too. I've done a talk on that. I will add that into this post. So this literally can serve as like a standalone topic. I could have told you like all the different topics I want to do in the series, but we would have been here for 10 hours. So that's why I'm breaking it down into smaller chunks so that we can really focus in on one topic at a time, really flesh it out. I'll share the research with you, and then maybe spoon feed this to your practitioners. Just 1 week, give them this information about the MS and the vascular disorder. Then the next week, give them the next research. That's how we shift the limiting beliefs that we have in our brain. Like many of us, they're really skeptical. I want to leave you with something that is going to help you. So if this is the first time that you've met me and you don't know a lot about what we do, go to livediseasefree.com, and then in the main menu under research, you're going to see there is a drop-down menu and you'll see Live Disease-Free Guidelines. Click on that and go through it. Start to change your diet. You will be so surprised at how much better you start to feel. And so I'm not going to go into the details of the diet there. There's a lot of videos there that explain the do's, the don'ts, the guidelines, lots of meal ideas, what I eat for different meals. I have been able to live MS-free, not just from diet, that was the first step, but also treating the cause, which we're going to flesh out in future events. But I want you to have some success. And if you have been following me for a long time, then make sure to watch my masterclass training. Like if you're at that place, you're like, Pam, you don't have to explain this all to me. I've been watching all this and I'm ready. I cannot stand living with these parasites anymore. Then make sure to watch my masterclass training, and then you can book a time to chat with me and you can see if it's a good fit to join the Live Disease-Free Wellness Champions and use our plan, which is a proven plan that has helped many people to recover. And I forgot to mention, I have this amazing cheat sheet that you can put in your kitchen. If you just comment the word cheat sheet in the comment section, or you can direct message me either on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or Rumble, or in the comment section, write cheat sheet and we will send you the link for the cheat sheet naturopaths handed out to their patients. It's really cool. I hear that, like one just in Australia. So that cheat sheet is really awesome, and it's just a really quick reference to have on your fridge or in your kitchen. So just please like, share, and subscribe. Keep sharing the comments. That also helps it to get, just comment like what you can relate to, because that really helps the algorithms to push this out. We need to get talking. Invite people to the next talk I do next week, where we're going to start talking about autoimmunity and dysbiosis. Then we're going to go deeper into the different types of infections that are involved with MS. You're very welcome. So until next week, have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next week. Take care and bye-bye for now.